All right. Get ready to explore Taoism in a way you probably haven't before.
Yeah, we're going to be hanging out with Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. We're diving into the Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Hoff.
Okay, now I gotta admit, when I first heard about this book, I was like, is this a joke? Taoism and poo.
It sounds a little out there, but trust me, he connects the dots in a really interesting way.
All right, so what's the big idea here? What's this poo way all about?
Well, it's all about finding your own Pooh way, right? Like
Hmm.
how to navigate life and its ups and downs. And you might be surprised to hear that Pooh might be the wisest character in the 100-Acre Wood.
Really, Pooh, the bear who's always getting stuck in honey jars.
That's the one. See, the book kicks off with this idea of Pooh, the uncarved block.
Uncarved block. Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, it is. Imagine a simple block of wood, full of potential, just waiting to be shaped into something. That's Pooh, pure natural potential.
Okay, I get that, but what does this have to do with Pooh Bear?
Well, Pooh, he doesn't overthink things, does he? He just goes with his gut, follows his intuition. He's like the embodiment of this uncarved block.
So you're saying we should all be more like Pooh, just wander around and follow our noses?
Not exactly, but think about it. Haven't you ever overthought a problem? Like you come up with this big, complicated solution, and it just blows up in your face.
Yeah, too many times.
Maybe a little bit of Pooh simplicity would have helped.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So how does this uncarved block idea actually work in the stories? Give me an example.
Well, take the time when Pooh and Rabbit are trying to find Christopher Robin. Remember, Rabbit, he's all about planning, so he whips out a map and starts heading in what he thinks is the most logical direction.
Because of course he does.
Right. But Pooh, on the other hand, he just follows his intuition and probably his rumbling tummy.
And who finds Christopher Robin first? Pooh. It's like his simplicity lets him tap into something deeper.
Exactly. And that's a big part of what Hoff is getting at.
But it can't just be about being simple, right? There's got to be more to this Pooh way.
Oh, there's definitely more to it. Hoff introduces this other big idea, the Cottleston Pie Principle.
The Cottleston Pie Principle, is that like some secret recipe for happiness?
Kind of. Remember Pooh's little song about Cottleston Pie? It's not just a silly tune. It's full of Taoist wisdom.
Oh, yeah. A fly can't bird, but a bird can fly. How is that wisdom? This is like something you'd find on a motivational poster.
It's all about understanding and accepting the nature of things. You see, a fly can't be a bird no matter how hard it tries, right? The key is to work with what is, not what you wish was different. Like the next verse of that song says, a fish can't whistle and neither can I.
Okay, so don't beat yourself up over what you're not good at. Makes sense. But what about those times when you really have to, push your limits?
Oh, absolutely. There's a time and place for that. But this is more about really knowing yourself, like recognizing your strengths, your weaknesses, and then you can really focus your energy where it matters, It's working with your nature, not fighting against it.
So I shouldn't sign up for underwater basket weaving if I can barely swim?
You could, but imagine all the time and energy you'd save if you focused on something that plays to your strengths, right?
All right, point taken. So how about that last line of the Cottleston Pie song? Why does a chicken? I don't know why. I mean, that always seemed like classic Pooh rambling to me.
And yet that line gets to another big part of this whole Pooh way. It's about letting go of that need to overthink every little thing, right? Some stuff, it's just beyond our control.
So less time pondering the meaning of life, more time actually living it. Sounds good to me.
Exactly. And speaking of not sweating the small stuff, let's talk about WOAY.
WOAY.
It's a big one. Often translated as non-doing, but it's not about being lazy or anything.
Because that I can do.
Right. It's more about effortless action, like aligning yourself with how things naturally flow.
Okay, I'm not going to lie, that sounds a little abstract. How does Pooh embody WOAY? He always seems to be wandering around looking for honey. That doesn't sound very effortless.
But think about it. Things just seem to work out for Pooh without him stressing or forcing it. Remember that time Eeyore loses his tail? Everyone's running around in a tizzy, but Pooh stays calm, looks around, and boom! It's like he has this flash of insight that leads him right to the missing tail.
That's true. He wasn't even trying to solve the problem, and yet he did. Just stumbled upon the solution.
That's WOAY in action. It's not about forcing your will on the world. It's more about letting go of control a bit and trusting that things will unfold as they should.
So it's not about being passive. It's about finding that sweet spot where action feels effortless, in sync with things.
Exactly. And you know what it made me think of? Tai Chi. Have you ever done Tai Chi?
I haven't, no.
Well, it's all about yielding, moving with your opponent's energy instead of fighting directly against it.
So if someone throws me a curveball, Don't try to knock it out of the park. Just go with it.
In a way, yeah. It's about adapting, finding that flow state, trusting your intuition.
Okay, I'm all for a little more flow in my life, but there's got to be another side to this, right? I mean, if wu-wei is the goal, what happens when we go against the flow? Well, Hoff has a name for that, and it's something we've all seen.
He calls them busy Baxons, those frantic little creatures always rushing around, getting absolute nowhere.
Okay, I have to admit, the busy Baxons are hilarious. It's like he took the most stressed out person you know and turned them into a cartoon character.
They're everywhere you look, glued to their to-do lists, buying every new time-saving gadget that comes out.
And do those gadgets ever actually save any time?
I think not. Nope. If anything, they just add more things to worry about, right?
Totally. It's like we've all become busy Baxons running around thinking that being busy means being productive.
Right. But as the Tao of Pooh reminds us, sometimes the most productive thing you can do is nothing.
Nothing. Okay, you're gonna have to explain that one.
Well, think about it. When do your best ideas usually hit you? When do you feel most creative and inspired?
Good point.
It's often when we step away from all the noise, right? When we give ourselves permission to just be...
Like you're taking a shower or going for a walk and suddenly, bam, inspiration strikes.
Exactly. Those moments of nothingness, they're crucial for clarity, for those bursts of insight, for tapping into that deeper wisdom.
I like it. So we've talked about the uncarved block, wu-wei, even those busy Baxons. But what's the final takeaway here? What's the core of this pu-wei?
I think it's about embracing simplicity, letting go of that need to control every little thing.
Easier said than done, right?
It is. It is. But it's about finding the joy in those everyday moments,
Yeah.
just like Pooh with his honey and his walks in the woods, you know?
Finding those little pockets of peace and contentment.
Exactly. It's about discovering your own enchanted place.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Tao of Pooh, I want to leave you with this. Where's your enchanted place? What brings you a sense of peace? Maybe it's time to take a page from Pooh's book and embrace a little more nothing in your life. Until next time, happy deep diving.